Hey, Matt, Red Raider Fence here. How's it going? Alright, what we're going to look at today is an air rifle. And if you're like me, when you hear the words air rifle, the first thing you think is, you'll shoot your eye out, kid. But I want to tell you, this air rifle, it ain't Ralphie's air rifle. That's the truth. What we're looking at today, I've never seen it before. I've seen some of these high-end air rifles before. I've never had a chance to go out and shoot one. This is the first time I've had this opportunity, so it was kind of neat. This came in for me to put a scope on and zero and just kind of make sure that everything was in working condition. Brand new out of the box. Kind of cool. This is called a PCP. What does that stand for? Not drugs. PCP is pre-charged pneumatic air rifle. So in the past, air rifles have come, they're either spring operated, or they're pump operated, where you have some seals in and you pump the handle and it creates an air pressure, or CO2. It uses a little cartridge of CO2 gas to power the gun to shoot. This is like supercharged CO2. This has an air tank, and you pre-charge the air tank for the gun, kind of like paintball. And you had CO2 tanks for paintball. Well, this is like that on a super duper level. And coincidentally, the air compressor that you use to power it to fill this air tank up, you can use it to fill up scuba tanks, paintball tanks, that kind of thing. It's kind of cool. It's not your general air compressor. I mean, I've got an air compressor, just a little pancake one that I use around the house and in the shop sometimes. And as far as I know, it will not fill this. It doesn't produce the kind of air pressure required to fill this, or in a timely manner anyway. This is totally different. So, we'll get on with this. This is what's known as a Hatsan, H-A-T-S-A-N. I don't know how to pronounce it other than Hatsan. Maybe it's Hatsan, I don't know. But anyway, this is the Hatsan Arms Company. The U.S. version, this gun is made in Turkey. And it's very entertaining to see. So let me start by just picking it up and showing it to you. And it's going to take a minute because it won't fit in this picture all at once. Yes, it will. Now it will. How about that? There's a lot to this rifle. Let me put it up here so you can see it a little bit better. And I will tell you that it's heavy. This thing weighs 15 pounds the way it is right now. That's a full tank of air, roughly a full tank of air. It's got a scope on it. This is a heavy 26-inch barrel. And the whole thing, it's got a telescopic buttstock. You can change positions on it. It's got an adjustable comb. It also folds. How about that? So this is a very interesting rifle. Very well put together. It's very solid. 15 pounds. The gun itself weighs 10.8 pounds. So when you put everything else on it and the air in it, it makes a difference. It's not something you're just going to pick up and tote across, the prairie or whatever. I would highly recommend a bipod. I'm going to put a bipod on this one. And I would highly recommend some sort of sling or carrying device because you don't want to just have to tote this thing. There is a lot to it. Not to mention, this is probably as big as Ralphie was at that point in time anyway. 48.5 to 51.5 inches long, depending on where the scope is. So it's 4 feet plus. And by the time you extend, you got to have some serious arms by the time you extend this stock out. So if you're a tall guy with long arms looking for something, here you go. Highly recommend it. So, what is different about this thing besides the fact that it's PCP, pre-charged pneumatic? Speaking of which, right here, it's got a little cover on it. This is the air tank that you fill up. If you look on the bottom, you see that little nub right there. There's your air compressor fitting that you're going to use to fill the tank up. The one thing that just occurred to me is, I don't know if you have different tanks for this, like if you can take the tank off and replace it with a fresh one quicker than you can fill it up. I filled this one up using the compressor that I got, which I'll show you in a minute. It takes about 15 minutes to fill it up. And what do you fill it up? When I first got it, I was looking at it trying to figure out, how do I know how much air to put in it? You fill it up to 250 bar or 300 bar, depending on where you look. It's 250 in the manual. It's 300 on the website. So I need to contact Hatsan and find out which one is actually correct. 250 bar. So the bar, all I know about that is it's used in scuba diving, maybe some other places, but I know that. And I didn't know how to translate that into PSI, so I looked it up. 250 bar is somewhere in the neighborhood of 3,500 PSI. I thought, well, gee, that's going to take a minute. No fear, though. Everything was taken care of because the air compressor that I use for this is made for something like this, and it has a gauge on it which actually tells you, gives you the bar option, so that's not a problem. You'll see that in a minute. But anyway, back to the rifle itself. Like I said, it's big, it's very stout. It's got the compressor option here. Your safety, if you see this little knob right here in the trigger guard, that is ready to fire, that is safe. So the safety is in the trigger guard, and I recognize that up front. But when you look at it, let me show you the back side of this receiver. If you look right here, you have what looks like a safety. Well, what is that? That is actually your fire control, and that's no kidding. You've got an S and an A, and S doesn't stand for safe. S stands for semi, A stands for auto. Yes, this is a full auto capable pellet rifle. So automatically I was intrigued because I figure anything that's full auto capable is going to be more fun to shoot than I thought it was. And I was absolutely correct. It was an absolute blast to shoot, no pun intended. This is a 30 caliber 7.62 30 caliber air rifle. This is the Hatsan model 777 Blitz, or Blitz 777, one of the two. On their website, they've got this gun coming at a retail price of $1,100. So probably out of range of Ralphie's parents at the time. This is not a passing fancy. This is a pretty decent investment that you're making on this rifle. So let me turn it back over here. Alright, so you've got your safety, you've got everything ready to go. Here's your bolt. If you look at the bolt, you'll see basically this is just reminds me of some of the submachine guns that I've dealt with. This is basically just a slot cut in the receiver to hold the bolt back. You've got a little magazine gate right here. Here's your typical magazine. This is a 16 round 30 caliber magazine. If you look on the back, you'll see there's a spring. If you've ever dealt with a drum magazine, that will come as no surprise to you. How this works is this is the business side of the magazine. There's a little slot here. It corresponds with a slot here in the receiver. So obviously you have to pull the bolt back, and this is not easy. There. Maybe it'll get better with time, I don't know. But the slots correspond to each other, and the magazine just plugs into the hole just like that. So that's pretty simple. Then of course you let the bolt off, take off the safety, and you're ready to shoot. Taking that out. Let me put this down. And I will tell you, if you've ever dealt with a drum magazine, like I said, this won't come as any surprise. The rifle comes with a tool that you use to wind the magazine up. I did not see it anywhere in the box, so maybe this one slipped through the cracks. 9/16 fits perfect. That's what you use. You just put a 9/16 wrench on it, rotate it, open this up this way, then you can just start dropping in your pellets. Nothing to it. Easy peasy. It comes with two magazines. So I've got two 16 round magazines ready to go. This is the box of pellets that came with it. At least as far as I know it comes with it. This is 100 pellets. 7.62 30 caliber pellets. Now I'm going to compare these right here up front with you to some of my old 177 pellets, which I think everything I have now is 177 caliber. So stop me if I start to lick my fingers anytime soon, because I've just obviously got lead all over my fingers, and this is not gonna work. There we go. Here we go. Hopefully you can see those. Kind of put it over to the side in the bright. If you can see it between my hand shaking and the camera's fuzzy. There's a 177 caliber obviously on my right, and the 30 caliber is next to it. That is a nice chunk of lead coming at you out of the barrel of this rifle. So anyway, so you've got your magazines, you've got your fire control system, auto or semi, you've got your air compressor filter fitting here. You have a gauge here. You push the button on this gauge. This gauge will tell you the pressure of this air tank in bars. Okay. Now it says in the book when you go to fill it up, use the gauge on the compressor, not the gauge on the rifle. Does that mean one of them is more accurate than the other? I don't know. I couldn't tell you. But I do know that when I set up the compressor to fill this up to 225 bar, because I thought 250 was the limit. So I set it up to 225. When I got finished, I checked this gauge, and this gauge said it was like 186. So I don't know what's right and what's not. Take your, I'm just going to tell you, the book says go by the generator. If this is bad, I don't even know why they bother putting it on here. They could just put a green light or a red light, or or something to say that it's full or it's not. I guess I could tell this was empty when I got it because I clicked on it and it said 0. So I guess if anything other than 0, it's not empty. Rails galore on this thing, obviously. Rails all over the place. This is a little sling attachment. I'm probably going to take this off and put a bipod on it. The receiver has which you really can't see, but the receiver has a dovetail. It's got some rails on the top, but it also has a dovetail mount, which is what this scope fits on. It did come with a carry handle and sights attachment, front sight already attached. These are plastic. I took them off so that I could put the scope on, and the front sight was in the way, so they had to go. So it comes with a lot of different attachments. There's a bunch of accessories in here, a lot of O-rings and things that I don't understand necessarily what they are yet. But it comes with some parts, just in case you have any problems. It's fairly easy to use. I mean, this is your magazine gate, open or shut. The bolts here. Set it full, or set it to auto or semi, and takes the safety off, and wham. The trigger is a little hard. It's not a very easy trigger, but it's not like there's any recoil or anything, so you don't have to worry about that. It's easy to shoot, and right out of the box, before I even took the carry handle off, I was using the sights, and I was shooting a little low and to the left, but I was shooting a good group, and so it came that way automatically. So I'm going to re-zero it with the scope. I have no doubt that we'll be able to get some really good groups of this thing at 25 yards. I'll let you know how that goes. It's really quiet, and it should really do you well for a lot of different things. It's fun to shoot for one thing, but varmints and critters and maybe even coyotes. I mean, it's a 30 caliber gun here, so I don't know if you've got one of these, or if you know somebody that does, or if you're used to them. Drop me a comment and let me know how you use it. Do you shoot varmints with it? I don't know if Georgia has any rules based on air guns and small game or big game. I haven't looked it up. I don't think I'd try anything bigger than, rabbits or squirrels. I mean, it would tear a squirrel all to pieces. I don't know. I wouldn't go any far. I wouldn't go any heavier than that, I don't think. Now, this particular rifle, you can get it in 22 caliber, 25 caliber, or 30 caliber. So you got 3 options. It will shoot 1,000 rounds a minute in full auto mode. In 30 caliber with a full tank, you're getting 760 feet per second velocity. That goes up to 1,020 for 25 caliber and 1,120 for 22 cal. So you're getting some pretty good velocity there. When the tank is full, you get about 160 shots out of the 30 cal. That goes up to 175 for 22, 170 for 25. So you're getting a few shots in between tanks. It's not like you have to stop and change the tanks a lot. Really is a really neat thing. This is not a kid's. This is not a toy, people. I mean, air rifles get a bad rap, but this is definitely something that, you got to be careful with. 760 feet per second is not anything to mess around with. Of course, some of the break open ones, back then were getting pretty good velocities, but I don't think anybody was getting 1,000 feet per second out of them until recently. And this is not really recent. I mean, this has been out for several years. This is just the first time I've had a chance to fool with this one. So it is a nicely put together rifle, and I'm going to have a good time getting it straight and zeroing it. And let me tell you how this works. I'm going to show you the air compressor that we use, because like I said, I didn't think my air compressor was going to work. Fortunately, and the customer knew, he bought an air compressor with it from a different company. This is the air compressor we're dealing with here. This is a Vevor, V-E-V-O-R, Vevor. I've seen lots of tools in their name. They get pretty good reviews for not being that expensive. This particular air compressor, this is a PCP air compressor. If you look them up, you'll see a bunch of them. You can spend a lot of money on these. This one I think runs about $275 on their website. So, but it's AC, has an AC adapter in the back. Let me pull this over from the front so you can kind of see it. There's your air fitting there. This is a bleed valve here, which you do use. This is the button that turns it on and off. These are obviously cooling fans. And in the front, on the top rather, you have two things. You have a little LED screen, and then you have this gauge. Now, this gauge, the round gauge, is what you're watching when you're using it. Okay, it comes with a little dial, kind of like an alarm clock. You set that at whatever pressure that you want it to be. Like I set this at 225 roughly, because as far as I knew, 250 was the limit. I wasn't sure that this was going to stop. It's supposed to stop automatically when it gets full. I didn't know if it was going to stop. I didn't want pieces of this thing all over my shop, so I set it to 225 just in case there was some flex either way. It did stop right at 225, or what I thought was 225. Again, when I looked on the rifle at that gauge, it said it was something like 180 or 190. But so it does work well. This little LED readout here, it fluctuates. It's constantly monitoring the temperature of the air compressor. So that's kind of cool. When it stops, it throws you a little code that means, hey, I've reached my limit. I'm stopping because that's what you told me to do. There are a few error codes it could throw out, and that is covered in the manual for the compressor. So this is a pretty neat compressor. It's not really that loud. What you do, like I said, it only takes about 15 minutes to fill it up. But this is how you work it. This is the air hose that came with this compressor. All right. Based on the pictures that I saw, this is the supply side. This goes on the compressor. This is the side that goes to whatever you're filling up. This is a filter. It filters the air. It's very adamant on this book that says only use clean, dry, compressed air. I don't know where you get dirty air from, but I guess there's your filter. Since you can use this to fill up scuba tanks, you need activated carbon for that, but they didn't come with it, but you'd buy some. So that, I guess, is another bonus for why you'd have a filter. But anyway, so this goes in the compressor, this goes in the gun part, and I'll show you that in a minute. Then you turn it on and leave it and wait until it fills up and it cuts off. Now, important, once you're done, the fittings are locked once it reaches a certain pressure. So what you have to do is stop the compressor, turn it off. I actually unplugged it from the wall. It made it a little bit easier. And then you're going to take this bleeded valve and you're going to turn it gently until it bleeds out all the air in the system. It won't take but a minute. Then and only then can you unhook this from the rifle, because it locks the fittings in at a certain compression rate. You will not be able to get this out until you bleed it. So, good thing. Also, they've got a little wire, a little cord wrap over here you can use. I'm going to move this out of the way since we're done with the compressor. Now, pick this back up. If you notice where this fitting is, there's a round recess. There it is. There's a recess in there. Your fittings goes in and it connects just like any other. It's a quick connect, just like any other air fitting. You know, push it in, click. Push it, you know, to get it out, you pull it back out, click it back out. Bad thing is, once you get this hooked in, it goes inside this hole. And it only shows you about this much of this fitting. So even when your fitting is unlocked, it's really, really hard to get out. I found this out the hard way. I had to use a pair of needle nose pliers to help me pull it back and get it out. After that, I discovered inside, included in the spare parts in this rifle, is this little doodad. This is like an extended compression fitting. See? So this fits in here. Oh, I'm not going to put it in there, but it does fit in there. Gives you plenty of space. Gives you plenty of fitting to grab when you're finished. So, I highly recommend that I'm going to do this. Taking this fitting that they provide you and replacing this fitting that's comes standard on the compressor. If you're going to use it on this rifle, that's a plus. It's almost a must, because otherwise it's going to be really, really hard to get this thing out. So, remember that. That is pretty much it. That's what I got. It's the Hatsan Blitz 777. This is a really nifty, look at the business in there. This is a really nifty air rifle. Like I said, this is not Ralphie's Red Ryder, for sure. And most definitely, I can see him shooting his eye out with that. It's really neat. If you have any experience with these, just give me a holler. Let me know in the comments. Any questions, something I might have left out. I'll do my best to come back and let you know how it shoots. Post a picture or two of the target and let you know what I'm looking at. I appreciate your time. Please subscribe if you haven't. There's places up there somewhere to subscribe. And pass this on to people if you think somebody would get a kick out of it. That's all I got. Contact me on my website if you need to, redrootdefense.com. You can drop me a line there or call me. My website's active. I do check it often. I do have some inventory that's listed on my website. So give me a holler if you're looking for something. Thanks for watching. Y'all have a good week.